Today we're going to read How Memory Works. Page 4. A quick experiment. Let's do an experiment. Pay attention to what's going on around you for just a moment. When can you see, touch, taste, smell, and hear? After you paid attention to your senses, did you notice anything different? You probably did. That's because our brains are always receiving information from our senses. There is so much information, though, that we can't possibly pay attention to all of it. Indeed, we only remember a very small amount of the information around us. How does memory work? Scientists have some ideas, but many more questions remain. Page 5. Types of memory. Scientists often talk about two types of memory, working memory and long-term memory. Working memory is how we deal with information in the moment. The words you're reading right now and the conversation you just had with a friend are part of your working memory. So is the music you were listening to on the way to school. We use our working memory most of the time. Page 6. Short-term memories make up our working memory, which also includes something called executive attention. This is the process of how our brains filter information into a short-term memory. Think about the experiment at the beginning of this book. Even when we're sitting quietly, our brains can't handle all the information we receive. Our brains ignore most of the information around us to keep from overloading. The information we do keep in our minds at any one time makes up our short-term memory. Most of us can only hold around 3 to 4 thoughts in our short-term memory at once. Page 7. For example, you might be listening to your teacher and scratching an itch on your arm at the same time. You might think about a few other ideas. Then someone sneezes loudly. What happens? Your attention turns to the person who sneezed. Information only stays in our short-term memory for a few seconds. Once our executive attention gets to work and we start paying attention to something, things change. Our executive attention makes sure that unimportant information doesn't interrupt the things that we are concentrating on. It also makes sure we pay attention to other important things, such as a sneeze. Your brain may think any loud, sudden noise means danger. If we don't give information attention, it leaves our memory. The more we pay attention to something, the better chance we have to remember it. Page 8. Long-term memories function differently from working memories. They remain in our minds even when we're not thinking about them. Scientists think information has to go through 3 steps to become a long-term memory. First, we learn something, then we store it. Later, we retrieve it. We can bring back long-term memories when needed. For example, think about your birthday. The date probably came to mind before you even finished reading the sentence. Maybe other memories, such as your birthday parties, also came to mind. You might have even thought about your family. That's because our brains connect different pieces of related information. Page 9. Memory and the brain. Our brains do not process or store memories in a single area. In fact, we often use many parts of our brains to make and keep memories. New technology lets scientists see what parts of the brain become active when we use different kinds of memory. The hippocampus is an important part of the brain concerning memory. People have 2 hippocampia, one on each side of their brain. Scientists aren't exactly sure how hippocampia work, but they turn short-term memories into long-term memories. They also help us retrieve long-term memories. Page 10. Scientists learned a lot about what the hippocampus does through working with the patient Henry Molaison, known as HM. He was born with a disease called epilepsy, which affects the brain. Doctors removed part of HM's brain, including the hippocampus, when he was 27 to try to help him. He got better, but he was no longer able to form some types of long-term memories. For example, HM could learn new motor skills, such as drawing a star in a mirror or walking with crutches. However, he couldn't remember someone he met minutes before, new words or songs. In fact, he couldn't remember any new information about himself or his experiences after the age of 16. Scientists studied HM for 55 years before he died in 2008. Much of what we know about how memory works is thanks to studies done with him. In fact, HM is one of the most studied people in the history of medicine. Page 11. Other parts of our brain become active when muscle memory. We form muscle memory when we repeat a movement over and over again. Eventually, we don't even have to think about how to do the movement. We just do it. Page 12. Damage to the brain can cause people to lose their memory. This is called amnesia. They may forget just a few minutes or a long period of time. It depends on how bad the damage is. Sometimes amnesia goes away in days, weeks, or months. Other times it never goes away. One of the most common diseases that affects memory is called Alzheimer's. People who have Alzheimer's lose their memories over time. Most of the people who have the disease are over the age of 65. Scientists don't know what causes Alzheimer's. Another part of our brain connects feelings to memory. Strong feelings such as happiness, sadness, or pride can make memories last longer. They help make memories clear. While people remember happy memories, they often recall painful or sad memories more clearly, especially ones they'd rather forget. Page 13. Improving memory. Information enters our long-term memory in a few different ways. One way is to repeat something over time. The more you experience something, the better you remember it. It's also true that the longer the period of time over which you repeat something, the better you'll remember it. This is why studying every day helps you do better in school. You'll remember more if you study for 1 hour a day, for 5 days, than 5 hours in one day. Page 14. You can also learn by using mnemonic devices that help you remember information. They connect new information to information you already know, or that is easy to remember. One example is never eat soggy waffles. People use this sentence to remember the names and order of the 4 major directions. The first letter of each word is the same as the first letter of north, south, east, and west. You still need to repeat mnemonic devices over and over to remember the connection. However, they help you remember more with less work. Give it a try. Page 15. Mysterious memory. We learn more about memory every year. New technology helps scientists study our brains in action, yet scientists still don't really know what memories are or how they are made. They also don't know how memories move from our working memory to our long-term memory. How we retrieve them is also a mystery. Scientists have ideas about how memory works, but it could be many years before we have clear answers to these mysteries. Whoever discovers how memory works will be remembered far into the future. Could it be you? And then if you have any questions on any words, there's the glossary in the back.